Meet Davis.
Hi.
Davis is from Pollock, South Dakota.
Yep.
We took Davis from Pollock to fish for pollock in Alaska.
Sure did.
The same wild-caught pollock in a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
Uh-huh.
There were boats, nets, waves.
And fish.
And some delicious Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. So you could say Davis is one lucky guy.
Good one.
Thanks, Davis.
Catch some pollock of your own with McDonald's Filet-O-Fish Fridays. Just $1.99 for a limited time. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or any combo meal.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, folks. How you doing? It's Danny Tisdale, and it is the Danny Tisdale Show. And I hope you are doing very well on this Saturday morning, the 18th of February. Can you believe it's February already? It is flying by. Seems like you just blink, turn around, and next thing you know, we start the new year, and here we are. It is February, and I'm not going to say anything else about the future because you know it's going to be flying by, and, we just got to rock and roll with it. That's all you can do under the circumstances. So, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Harlem, and especially starting with our website at harlemworldmag.com, harlemworldmag.com, just in case you didn't write it down. And you can also check us out at our Facebook page at facebook.com/HWMag, and on Twitter at twitter.com/HWMag. And as you may know or may not know, depending on where you are, we're just at the end of a heated election where Bill Perkins was elected to the city council. Also, some super hot photographs of the Los Angeles TV stars on the red carpet for the 48th annual NAACP Image Awards. And what else? And let us not forget that one of our contributors, Claude J., posted a great article. The New York Philharmonic very young composer Isaiah Rabu, just 13 years old, composed his first concert, and Claude and Harlem World Magazine was there to cover it. It's a great, great story that's been trending for the last, I think, couple of days. So check it out and let us know what you think. And let us segue into the reason that we're here. And we're here to talk to Nadelka Mayers. And as you also know, it is wedding season. She is a beauty expert. We call her a beauty guru. She also is owner of Brow Lady, and which is all about beauty cosmetics. And from Harlem to Hollywood, she talks and speaks online and offline to those who are in the beauty industry, and she's also owner of Harlem Weddings, and she's been grinding that away here in Harlem and outside of Harlem for almost a decade. How are you doing, Nicky?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm almost exhausted from my long introduction of you, and you've, of course, been on the show before. And that's what we love, is that you come on the show, especially like seasons of February where it's wedding season, and talk about what ladies and gentlemen can do and think about as they plan their weddings. So this is pretty exciting. So let's get started. Who should start planning the wedding? Is it the guy? Is it the woman? Or is it both of them? I guess depending on the kind of wedding it is, because it could be a same-sex wedding. But who should start the process?
Well, we don't like to call it same-sex anymore. We call it couples. And that just kind of generalizes the term for everyone and keeps it neutral and clean so they don't feel discriminated against, so that we're trying to figure out how to fit them in. Well, then couples. Anything, anyone can start.
So Nikki, I just want to make sure I get it right. It's not same-sex, it's couples. And that could be couple two men, it could be a couple two women. Okay.
Or it could be a couple of female or a male. So traditionally, honestly, it's a couples thing that kind of kicks it off, because you kick off your wedding planning after you've told everybody and everybody knows, you need to set a date. And that really kind of kicks off the planning with the couples. They agree on a date, and then planning can kind of kick off after that. Traditionally, we start about
whoa, but wait a minute, Nikki. So there's not one of the other who starts that planning process, because I may be throwing another traditional view in the mix here. I always thought, for the most part, it was the female that kicked off the process. Is that not true?
Well, she's gonna run with it because the excitement is traditionally I'm going to wear the dress and I need to pick out my dress. So traditionally the excitement and the leadership and the lead has always been that's the bride. But before you even get to start the shopping process, you need to agree on a date. I'm getting married. Really? And the first question everybody asks is, okay, so when is the date? So we kind of back up a little and say, honestly, the planning really kicks off once you set a date, because you can't really plan without a date. Every wedding vendor is going to ask you, when is the date?
So you kind of reverse engineer the process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Start from the date and then work back.
Yeah, and then once so we figured out the date. The next thing we need to do is we need a budget. Okay, so how much money do we really want to spend? And then you can really get the heavy lifting with the planning. Goes from there. But you need a date and you need a budget, so everybody is on the same page about what we're going to spend and who is spending it, right? And then it gets complicated after that. Depending on who's
you don't
paying,
think it gets complicated when you're talking about the budget? Because wouldn't you say, let's say you want, a $50,000 I'm just throwing out figures. You want a $50,000 wedding, and I'm, Mr. Count Pennies. I want a $20,000 wedding. How do you handle that?
And that's where, so if we go traditionally, the bride and the bride family pay for the wedding.
Okay.
That's tradition, right? So if the bride mother's paying and she wants to write a check for $3,000, if you're the groom, you're going like, good luck with that, right? Great for us, bigger wedding. It's just,
right, exactly. I'm not paying for it.
As time has changed and couples are now paying for their own wedding, then it get heated, it get complicated, it needs to be agreed upon, and then at the end of the day it comes down to your financials, because you're going into debt.
Right.
Literally, a $50,000 wedding, unless you have that saved in your savings account, you're getting a loan from somebody to pay for it. So that's where it gets a little complicated when couples are paying for it, and and they need to kind of be on the same page about how much they want to spend and how many people.
So
because that will also drive the cost to some degree.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
cut you
off, but
no. If you say I want 300 people in my wedding, go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
So
no, I just lost the question I was going to ask you. Go ahead.
The cost will also play on how many guests you want. So if you're dead set on having 300 people in your wedding, you need about $40,000.
Okay. I see what you're. So I'm coming back to my question is that you no longer are having one person plan the wedding. Now it is both partners planning the wedding.
Yeah, and again, it depends, right? Traditionally, the guy steps out. Even if he's writing the check, he'll be like, I don't want to go shopping. But, to some degree, the guy only wants to do the bachelor's party, and I'm going to go shop for my tuxedos. I don't necessarily want to be dragged to a cake tasting, and I don't necessarily want to be dragged to you're not going to take him to a fitting. Some brides will try to get the fiancé to go along, but again, it just depends on how involved the groom wants to be.
So
he'll
let me ask you,
participate,
Nicky,
and she'll kind of get him to agree.
what are the because we're talking about the planning process. What are the things, maybe not all of them, but what are the big ticket items?
I mean, the biggest ticket item is going to be your venue and your food.
Okay.
So if you go to a traditional
and then you have the
hall,
garments that they're going to wear, and then all the people who are going to the food.
Yeah.
So incrementally.
The dress. So the highest items are going to be more than likely your entertainment, definitely your catering and your food, and that can be combined as one. If you go to a traditional catering hall, it's $20 to $40 per person per plate, and that covers your food and access to the venue. Your photography costs can go up there depending on, do you want the photographer on-site, off-site, at the reception, at the ceremony, if you have it at different places. That costs them to add up, and then your wedding gown. After that, it's negotiable. All the other things you need, you can play.
I think I'm just going to jump over a broom and use my phone camera, and that can call it a day. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No,
I know. I'm just kidding.
But
you see, because it's so expensive.
Couples are opting to do the small, intimate thing, and there's ways to save costs, reduce the number of people. Do a small, intimate wedding in the backyard. Do it at the park. But traditionally, people are going away from tradition with the 300 people in the wedding unless they just have a big family on both sides, and you just can't help that. But small, intimate weddings are becoming the new trend, and that allows you to reduce the budget. Now, if you're a celebrity, you're having a $120,000 wedding.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And $1 million wedding.
So those are some of the first questions the couple has to ask is, what kind of wedding do you want to have, my dear? And then you start the process, I guess. I really get into the nitty-gritty of the process.
Yep.
And
then
you
agree to certain things.
When do you bring in someone to help? I know that there are people like you, who help coordinate and who can do apples to nuts, A to Z, beginning to the end of the wedding, start to finish. When is it best to bring in a pro like you?
So again, it's advisable that if you have the money in the budget and it's a long wedding, it's a big wedding, that you will get help. But it's the first thing that gets cut out of the budget because, again, it's an overhead expense. But if you can afford to have a planner and you're having a big wedding, you want that planner to come in at the beginning of the process. So if you set your budget, you set your debt, then you go shopping for a planner. If you're going to do most of it yourself, I do advise brides to hire a planner for the day of. The last thing you want walking down the aisle is for the planner for somebody to say that the person, the DJ didn't show up or the limo is not here. Having that day off coordinator, as we call them, definitely relieves a lot of stress. And they come in a little earlier in the process. So they'll probably schedule, 2 meetings with you. They'll coordinate all your vendors. They'll make sure all the little details are taken care of. So it makes it your day smooth and no one asks you questions. You're just there to enjoy your wedding as opposed to having to answer phone calls and somebody didn't show up or somebody's running late. Then that person is there to alleviate that stress.
Now, you are a long-term Harlem wedding impresario, and you've been doing it for a good while. Are Harlem weddings any different from other weddings, or is it just a different location and things along those lines?
Well, when I created Harlem Weddings, the format was to make it small and intimate. So unlike most bridal shows that have 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 vendors per category, Harlem Wedding limited the categories to one vendor per category, and we moved it around in non-conventional places. So if you remember, our first bridal show was at Tribal Pierce Gallery, and the whole team was tribal. So our wedding designer, Therese Fleetwood, showcased her African-inspired wedding gowns at that show. So part of it was how to help brides also think outside the box. You can do it in a restaurant. You can do it, in a gallery. Depending on the size of your wedding and the size of the venue, it was intended for that, but it was also intended to keep the planning stress down. When you go to traditional shows, some of these shows have 300 vendors. It's overwhelming.
Right. Yeah.
Our shows had about, 15 to the 20 traditional vendors. No more than 20. I think the most vendors we ever had was maybe 15, 18. But it gave you one vendor per category. If you didn't like the vendor, you didn't have to take that vendor because there was no obligation. But at least you just had one vendor to talk to, and it was more direct. I needed 8 vendors, and I'm going to go to the 8 vendors that I need and answer and get questions. And it also allows the vendor to have a better one-on-one relationship because we weren't having 3,000 brides. We had between 50 to 100 brides come to our show.
Yeah, and they were really great shows, and give you props for the work that you did. And, Nick, I just want to let you know that we're going to take a very, very, very quick station ID and let our listeners know they're listening to the Danny Tisdale Show, that's me, on Harlem World Radio, and we're speaking to beauty guru and wedding guru, Nicky Mayer, sometimes known as Nadelka, and she's here talking about weddings because it is wedding season. And Nicky, talking about wedding season, what is that parameter of wedding season? When does it begin and when is it over, if it is ever over?
So official wedding season on the East Coast, and in most places where there's 4 seasons, yes. In most places where there's 4 seasons, the bulk of the bulk of the weddings are going to take place in the spring, and it kind of tapers off through the summer, and if they're pushing it, it's going into the fall. I am currently in Arizona, where there's only 2 seasons, technically 1, where you have 2 wedding seasons. You have wedding season every time except for summer. So they have wedding in the winter, which can go all the way through what's known as spring everywhere else. They take a break in July, August, September, because that's when it's hot here. And then the wedding season kind of kicks back off again. It will die after Thanksgiving. So literally even any planning, even if I got engaged, I'm not thinking wedding planning between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then most engagements, and most people get engaged between Christmas and Valentine's Day. 90% of couples get engaged within that season.
'Tis the season, huh? I also wanted to mention and talk about and ask you a little bit, even though you did talk about it for a second or two. What are some of the best ways to cut costs for one's wedding?
Technology.
Do you have any kind of hard and fast tips? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, with technology, you can do your save the date invitations. You can do a website as opposed to mailing out invitation. The cost of postage is high. Eliminate
that's a good idea.
The cost of postage by going online. Everybody is online today. Create a simple, cute wedding website. Have your RSVPs there, and have people go there. You can put all your travel arrangement, your registry in one location, but it saves you the cost of printing and postage.
Good idea.
That's the biggest place that we can save. The other place that we can save is, again, cutting down on the size of the guest list. If you cut back your guest list, you're paying per plate if you go to a traditional catering hall. So if you do something smaller, intimate, and maybe host a party somewhere, it will still save you costs.
Ooh, that's because it's a tough point that you bring up. I'm going to ask you, how do you decide, who you cutting off the list?
it gets complicated quickly. And it's
that's why I wanted to instigate with
couples. It just depends. Again, it's if you're a tickler and sometimes there's always one portion of the couple, one half of the couple that's going to be budget conscious. And he's going to be, or she's going to be, we can only have 50 people. We can only have 100 people. And then let's start with family. And then let's do our closest friends. And then we start adding. It gets complicated if both parties come from a large family, because then you're forced to have a big wedding. You can't leave out grandma, and then you can't leave out this cousin. So it gets complicated. But if it's just the couple paying for the wedding, then an intimate ceremony, or the biggest thing that you can do is go on a destination wedding. Book a resort somewhere or book it on a cruise.
Oh, nice.
And if the guest wants to fly, they're flying on their dime, and that definitely cuts down your RSVP list a lot.
Well, I can tell you, I can think of a couple of people I'd take off my list right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anybody listening out there, I'm just instigating. I'm just instigating.
There's always the aunt the crazy aunt or the crazy uncle that, oh, God, we can't. Every family has one of those in the closet somewhere.
Scratch. Gone. Well, I did a little research before we connected, and, on the website, at the bottom of the website, we have a Harlem Weddings page, and we will promptly add your information. But we know at the Alhambra Ballroom, they have, of course, Harlem Weddings, parties, and various events. Aloft Harlem has wedding ceremonies and reception space. Also, Riverside Church, been around for 85 years, and they have interfaith, heterosexual, and same-sex couple weddings. I'm just reading from what they have there on their website. And Harlem World photographer Udo Salters, who does our celebrity photography, also does weddings. Are there any other places that you could recommend on the side of where to do kind of, let's say, a seasonal wedding during the summer? I know probably Central Park is probably a great place. It's one of the first places that comes to mind. Any ones you could suggest or recommend? Excuse me.
Caught me off guard. We used to do events at Riverside Park, the Riverside restaurant.
Right.
I know the restaurant's just not there anymore, but that is a nice park, and it's overlooking the Hudson River. That will make a nice backdrop for an afternoon wedding or reception.
Great idea. That's a great idea.
People should definitely think outside the box. There are a couple of small restaurants in Harlem that have backyards. Again, if you're doing it's 30 people in the venue, you can definitely do those. Some of the brownstones that have been converted to bed and breakfast, they have enough open space where if you can cater, you're doing 20, 30, 40 people, you can definitely have a nice intimate wedding in an unconventional place.
Excellent idea, and I completely forgot about Riverside, and of course, when you're thinking of budget again, looking at what that the cost and how you can cut some of the cost on the wedding by doing it in places like you said that are pretty much untraditional in that way. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, with our listeners listening in, and whether it's a he or she needing services, can you give your contact information or information on how our readers who want to know more about weddings and possibly using your services, how they can get in contact with you?
Sure. I updated the website, so it's Nidelka.com, and that is Nidelka.com. The phone number to reach me is 646-205-8208, And the email is nedelka@nedelka.com.
Fantastic. And don't go anywhere yet, Nicky, because I just want to let folks know that we will be updating the website to have some of that contact information on our website, and especially we will embed this conversation on the website so folks can go to the website later on, I think probably tomorrow on Sunday, and spend their day off, and hopefully Monday too, listening to the conversation and taking notes where to go. And then if they can't find all the answers that they need, they can reach directly out to you so that they can have a fabulous Harlem wedding. And so, Nicky, as we usually do with all those who are on the show, what are some of your favorite places in Harlem where you like to go and chill, whether it's connected to a wedding or not connected to a wedding?
So I have to say that wineries are my best. But I love the wineries. It's nice to sit down and, after a long day of work and have a glass of wine. And the fun thing about wineries is that people talk to you. I love the Museum of Harlem, and, of course, the Apollo Theater when there's something good going on. Yeah.
And you just gave me a question here, because I was thinking of alcohol at a wedding. And is it better to have a wine at a wedding or cocktails? Seems like cocktails could be a little dangerous.
It is, but that's how the catering hall kind of makes their money, and they get their license in New York. And again, that's one of the things that you want to have a wedding planner. If you're doing the backyard thing and you're doing something smaller, or then, you can serve wine and champagne, and that works. If you're doing a traditional catering hall, you're going to have an open bar, and that's part of the tab that they bill you for. My recommendation, when I was doing weddings, I will go to the bartender and cut people off. Like, okay, you need to add more ice, add an extra bottle, a little bit of water to that Hennessy. And people need to take time that in some places, drinking and driving has become a big campaign. And they hold venues responsible for allowing a drunk to get back in their car and leave. Well, the liability is also coming back to the bride and the couple. So my recommendation is, if I have an open bar, like an hour before we're wrapping up, I will go to the bartender like, okay, you need to add an extra cube of ice, add a little bit of water, add a little bit of extra Coke, start watering those drinks down a little, and then I'll get the DJ to encourage people to dance. It's kind of try to work it out of your system. Any little bit helps to just kind of ensure that you're not creating additional liabilities. At the end of the day, you don't want to be off on your honeymoon and heard that somebody got into a car accident or anything.
Right. So that's something that, and we're down to our last minute here. I knew I was going to not come up with other questions, but have other questions for you. And this is try to be my last, not so much I guess it is a question, but that's one of the benefits of having a consultant, is that they can almost work as police also while you're enjoying yourself. They can kind of police the event and make sure that I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Yeah, I mean,
like you mentioned, the bar
what we're there for. Yeah, there are those little details and those little things that you are too busy enjoying your wedding to think about. That if wedding planner been there, done that.
And you don't want to think about why you're having your wedding. Yeah.
So that the wedding planner has enough experience to know, okay, we need to cut them off, or we need to figure out something, or let's get everybody on the dance floor to avoid, liquor, and you're working with the DJ and you're working with the entertainment crew.
Right.
So there are things that wedding planners add value for, and like I said, the cost is about, an average between $400 to $800 is the average cost for a wedding planner for day off only services. But that extra fee will definitely give you peace of mind and allow you to enjoy your wedding.
That's fabulous. Nicky, we're down to the last 30, and I want to thank you for being on the show and always giving us incredible information for our listeners wherever they may be in Harlem or around the world. You know you'll be on the show again, and we love having you on the show again. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks, Nicky.
Thanks
for your Harlem wedding. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, folks, talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend.
Meet Davis.
Hi.
Davis is from Pollock, South Dakota.
Yep.
We took Davis from Pollock to fish for pollock in Alaska.
Sure did.
The same wild-caught pollock in a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
Uh-huh.
There were boats, nets, waves.
And fish.
And some delicious Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. So you could say Davis is one lucky guy.
Good one.
Thanks, Davis.
Catch some pollock of your own with McDonald's Filet-O-Fish Fridays. Just $1.99 for a limited time. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or any combo meal.
Meet Davis.
Hi.
Davis is from Pollock, South Dakota.
Yep.
We took Davis from Pollock to fish for pollock in Alaska.
Sure did.
The same wild-caught pollock in a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
Uh-huh.
There were boats, nets, waves.
And fish.
And some delicious Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. So you could say Davis is one lucky guy.
Good one.
Thanks, Davis.
Catch some pollock of your own with McDonald's Filet-O-Fish Fridays. Just $1.99 for a limited time. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or any combo meal.